last Thursday, the City Council approved two major rezoning proposals, one in Midtown South and the other for Lenox Hill Hospital on the Upper East Side. Those projects are only possible because the City of Yes housing amendments that were passed last year are a big part of the legacy of this council. Here to talk more about that and much more, we've got the Speaker of the City Council, Adrienne Adams, the proud mother of all of this. Welcome back to the program. Good to see you.
Always great to be with you.
Before we get to the good stuff, let's talk about some of the bad stuff. We saw a deputy commissioner resign and was indicted today. We saw the mayor's former top advisor also indicted today. Just wondering what your reaction is to that.
I think it's such a sad day for New Yorkers. It's such a sad day for our city. New Yorkers want to believe in their leaders and their leadership, and I continue to say this. New Yorkers don't deserve scandal, corruption, all of this being pinned on them. Now, because of this continuation of this, of this activity, New Yorkers are going to get that splash, something that nobody deserves to get, and New Yorkers need to be able to trust their leaders, trust their elected officials, trust the people that they put in power to represent them and to represent our city, and it's just very sad.
You're too polite to say so, but you did have a line during the Democratic primary for mayor where you said you were going to stop the nonsense and stop the chaos and corruption.
Yeah, that was my hope, because we have seen this, primarily from this administration, and it's a shame that we are continuing to see this continuance of this and this backlash. Again, this is going to be that splash up, unfortunately, for over 8 million New Yorkers.
Let's move on to what the council's been doing. You approved the Midtown South rezoning plan, you meaning the council. What was the biggest hurdle in getting that done?
Oh, the biggest hurdle in getting it done, of course, was coming to agreeance with our garment district for our prized garment district and those that have been working for decades in the district. And this project was so big, Errol, it didn't take just one council member, it took two to get this thing across the finish line. We are so proud to have it done. We are so proud that we were able to collaborate with the garment district to ensure those protections for them, as well as ensuring affordable housing that is going to be monumental for the area.
Moving up to the Upper East Side on 77th Street, Lenox Hill Hospital, the expansion of that, there's a residential component as well, right? It's not quite as big as the hospital had at first hoped, but it's substantial.
It is substantial, and we're talking about Lenox Hill Hospital, a hospital that's been around forever, as we know, I believe 1869, if I'm not mistaken. And there were amenities that were made, the height came down. It's been in the works for a long time, but this is a hospital, a very, very substantial hospital in the area that needed to be modernized. Needs to be modernized for New Yorkers, for those that are coming in that are seeking health care. And this is what the council was seeking to do, and we got it done. It's
really quite a sector over there. I had for a couple of different reasons, had to go to a couple of different healthcare facilities up there. And you start walking from the subway and you start realizing that these are big, modern, expensive buildings. There's a lot of money and a lot of jobs up there.
Yeah, completely. And with this growth of this hospital, we're going to see even more of the same. And we just want to have the best healthcare facilities for our New Yorkers.
Since we're talking about development projects, Resorts World, they have a casino proposal. We had them on earlier this week, and that happens to be in your district.
Yeah.
Do you support their plan?
Well, I'm indifferent. I remain indifferent, as a council member, as the council member of the Great 28, the district that I so proudly lead over these years. But I do have an appointee to the CAC, to the Community Advisory Council, who is going to oversee part of those proceedings, and we'll see what's going to happen. We know that, ultimately, these licenses are all up to the state. And we're going to sit back and we're going to watch. But Resorts World has done very well by our Queens, Southeast Queens area.
Yeah, in fact, I guess that's what I'm getting at. Have they been a good neighbor? Have they come through, as far as you're concerned, on promises of jobs and so forth?
They really have, and it's been a tremendous collaboration between the city and the state, with our state partners as well, who will agree, because we've been meeting with them over the years, and what they would do and promises that they would make to the community that they have fulfilled, and they've been very good partners.
You've got some council business coming up. Override votes, I guess, I don't know if you've scheduled them yet, for vetoes that the mayor has already issued, one of which would deal with decriminalizing street vending. I was wondering what you think the fate of that is, and why you feel the council might need to override this veto.
Yeah, this is a head scratcher for us. We collaborate with all of our legislation with the administration. So when we take a look at the vending bills in particular, these are pieces of legislation that were collaborated with very closely with the administration. As a matter of fact, there was a working group within the administration, along with the agencies, that agreed with this legislation. So it was baffling to the council to see the mayor, in essence, veto himself, veto his own administration that agreed with the legislation that we all put forth together to create a better vending system overall. There are still pieces in the pipeline for the vending system, but this is certainly a piece that needs to happen, and I'm very, very positive that the override will be successful.
Same issue on, I guess, raising wages for delivery workers, grocery and delivery workers.
Yeah, very interesting. Very, very interesting that corporate interests would take precedence over fair wages for delivery workers. If we think about the weather even that we had last night, the torrential rains that we've had, I don't know about you, Errol, but I don't want to ride an e-bike through the rain to deliver someone's food, someone's groceries. So we are talking about these workers that sometimes get $8 and change as salary and depend on tips. That is not a living wage for anybody in New York City, much less for someone that is traveling in torrential rains to make sure that other people are fed. And now, in essence, we have a veto to stop them from having food on their own tables in the interests of corporate interests that want to put their own profits in their hands. And I want to say this too. You know, the app organizations do not set grocery prices. What they do is they set their fees. So if we're talking about fees being passed on to folks that are ordering groceries, those fees are coming from those corporate entities. That is where those fees are coming from. That's got nothing to do with the price of groceries.
Okay, very good. We'll be watching for those votes. Later in tonight's show, we're going to be talking about a lawsuit against the Adams administration for not meeting goals and deadlines for the Commission on Racial Equity. Now, as the Speaker, you appoint 5 of the 15 members of the panel there. Have you heard anything about why this is even happening, why government is suing itself, why the Commission hasn't been able to move forward?
This is something else that's mind-boggling. You know, this is something that the voters said that they wanted to happen. They wanted to see how New York is treating its people when it comes to racial equity and where the gaps are. We know that there are gaps, obviously. So this is something the voters said had to happen via ballot proposal, and now we have an administration that is saying, no, we're not going to do this, or yeah, we've got it, but we're not going to show it to you. That is not acceptable, and that is not okay. And I am in full support of, the commission that is demanding that this report be brought forth. New Yorkers need to see this. We need to see what New York is doing to handle racial inequity in all sectors of this city. I think that it will be a tremendous model for the rest of the nation. Why this administration is afraid to show that, well, I have my own thoughts about it.
Yeah, well, share those thoughts, please. I mean, is there something about the ReElection campaign that is feeding into this, do you think?
Well, I think it plays a part in it. I think that the Trump administration and its denial of DEI, I think all of these pieces are a part of this puzzle, or can be a part of this puzzle that is keeping this information from the public that said that they want to see it. So when we take a look at the administration, the relationships that we know have been bonded with the Trump administration, the fact that this information is not wanted by the Trump administration, we can start, speaking about the Smithsonian and a lot of other things that are being denied the American public from truths that the American public need and deserve to see. To me, this all falls in part and parcel of that.
Well, this is an important moment. And in fact, frankly, I could ask this to a lot of people, but you're in the chair, so I'll ask you. When it comes to the extraordinarily high levels of black leadership, all of the different positions and, the growth and the history-making elevation of the first black woman to lead the city council and so forth, this is a season where there are a lot of attacks coming out of Washington.
That's right.
There are law firms running scared. There are universities running scared.
That's right.
There are people dialing back what had been commitments to racial justice, racial equity. What does that mean for those of you who have stepped forward and said we will be leaders from and for the black community?
What it means is that we have got to stand strong in our strength. And I want to say this also. We don't say this often enough. Let's speak the words Project 2025. You know, those words were spoken a lot during the presidential campaign. We stopped talking about that once this president was elected. This is a blueprint that is being put forth now across this nation by no accident. The organizers of Project 2025 have groomed a host, and it is their perfect host in the name of Donald John Trump, who now leads this nation, the leader of the free world. We need to speak Project 2025, and for those that are not educated on what is between those pages, you need to read it and realize that this is unfolding. And we've got to figure out how we are going to combat this that is now going through this entire nation. So it is not just me as a Black leader, it is the majority of Black leadership across this country and the entities that are protecting it that are affected by this administration.
Okay.
Project 2025.
Well, before I let you go, have you made an endorsement for mayor? Are you supporting the Democratic nominee?
Well, I said initially I'm a lifelong Democrat, and whoever that nominee is, I will support that Democratic nominee, and that is who I am supporting. I am not an independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm not in anything other than a Democrat.
Okay. No qualms about being with Mr. Mamdani?
He is the Democrat that the voters elected. Come November, I believe that the Democratic nominee will be successful.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks so much for coming by. Have a great rest of the summer.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let's take a break now. When we come back, the finding that President Trump inflated the value of his properties and assets still stands, but the $500 million penalty that he was on the hook for has been thrown out. We'll explain that in 2 minutes. Stay with us.